and these kids will still be supported with unconditional love. The burden of this debate is how our side is better for these children's future. What OP's burden should be is that in this debate is how kids are benefiting from the current styles of of normal parenting. Moving into my arguments, in today's highly competitive world, success depends on a strong educational foundation. Tiger parenting provides children a competitive advantage by pushing them towards academic and extracurricular excellence. This method emphasizes discipline, time management, and a very strong work ethic, which are invaluable traits. Cannot develop them anywhere else, which will help them not only in schools and academics, but also in their future careers. Children who are raised by tiger parenting are often likely to be high achievers, excelling in academics, music, sports, etc. These accomplishments open doors to prestigious universities, scholarships, and very high tier career opportunities. Opposition might argue that this pressure that's placed by the parents on the children is excessive. The reality is that success in today's world requires pushing a little bit beyond past comfort zones, and tiger parenting children are prepared to do just that. Furthermore, tiger parenting ensures that children are incredibly resilient, ready to face the world, and also having a growth mindset, aiming to improve themselves. They learn early on that success is the result of hard work and persistence, not just luck. Moving on to my second argument, building discipline, responsibility, and mental fortitude. Tiger parenting is not just about pushing children to achieve, it's about building lifelong skills that help them far beyond the classroom. It's about building discipline, responsibility, and mental fortitude. In contrast to more submissive or other parenting styles, tiger parenting sets clear expectations and boundaries, which helps children understand the importance of structure and responsibility. Children raised in such an environment are better handlers of stress, time, and focus on their short and long term goals. Children also develop self accountability. They are guaranteed to make mistakes along the way in their life that do compromise their success academically. Tiger parenting focuses on accepting these mistakes and moving forward. Also relating to the principle of liability. Children in the early stages of life, they don't have the mental development and capacity to hold themselves accountable for their maybe sometimes wrong actions. This is why often minors aren't allowed to smoke or drink or make any other important decisions that may impact their life long term. At this crucial time of their life, children desperately need a parent who holds them accountable, a parent who encourages personal growth, a parent that is involved and supportive in the child's life. Thank you.
Cool. I thank the speaker for the fine speech. First opposition speaker, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Picture a child weighed down by the relentless pressure of being perfect, their creativity stifled, and this pressure underscores the heart of our debate today. And we, Team Bitcoin, completely oppose this motion. Our stakeholders for today will inevitably be parents, the children's, and the teachers. Well, we have three main points to discuss: mental health impact, resentment and rebellion, and lack of holistic development. Well, let's understand what is mental health impact. Well, mental health impact. Well, what is mental health? Mental health is something which molds the child's overall perception about his or her life. Something the child carries throughout his life. And when and child's mental health is disrupted, well, you know what happens: depression, anxiety, and many other problems. We can divide this into a few other topics.
Why?
High level of stress.
How do you think bad
Decline,
mental?
decline, sorry. High level of stress. Well, why? Why high level of stress? Because there's almost no scope for playing. There's no scope for relaxation. And the parents don't give scope for relaxation or playing, the children's mind stifles. The children resents to what he's doing, what his parents is asking to do him. Anxiety, it often leads to anxiety and depression. Well, why, you ask? It's because child has a constant pressure to be perfect. The child has a constant pressure to be the first person. Tiger parenting just stifles the child's sparkle. The child may
You
also have decline. The child may also have low self-esteem throughout his life. Why? Because the child does not get to socialize with his friends. The child does not have a social life, and the child definitely has a lack of self-esteem. The child might also end up having a lack of coping mechanism. Well, this leads to our first point, anxiety and depression. Why does anxiety and depression lead to lack of coping mechanism? The child resents what he's doing. The child doesn't want what he's doing. And often this leads to less coping mechanism in other things which he might love to do. The child does not want to do something and he's to do it. Even if the child loves to do something and forced to do it, he might end up hating it. Why, you ask? Overdoing something is never good, especially for a child whose cognitive functions are still developing. He's yet to understand how world works. He's yet to understand his own needs and his own lives on the world. Yes, accepted.
How do you think bad mental health is actually going to occur when we said in our counterfactual that these kids are still provided with unconditional love support from parents and friends through high extracurricular activities? There are other ways to achieve parents or achieve friends on both sides of the houses.
Yeah, your point got it. Yeah, thank you. Well, what do you think? Parents do provide them love. Okay, fine. But what is our topic? It's that children get bored from studying or from doing that one particular activity. They need a break. They need a break. That's the point. Why do they need a break? They need to breathe. They need something to get distracted. They need extracurricular activities for their own cognitive functions to improve. That's how it works. The parent feeding them love, care does not matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because that's not the only thing which is happening. The child is forced into studying, into academics, into sports. The child does not need that. The child does not need to excel in everything. The child does not need to be forced to be excelled in that thing. The child also gets fear of disappointment. The fear of disappointment by whom? The parent. When they see a downfall in the child, why do they see a downfall? Because the child is being constantly hampered by the parents to go over his own limits, to exceed his own limits. And being a child, the child cannot understand. The child does not have the capabilities to understand why his parents are expecting that from him, and he often might get disappointed by his own parents. Well, there is a particular thing. It might also ruin his relationship between his parents. It might make him or her resent his parents. It might get when he's older. He might imagine how his parents did this to him and how it affected his entire life. With this, I would like to pass to the deputy leader. Thank you.
Oh, okay, I thought I was unmuted. I thank the speaker for the fine speech. Second proposition speaker, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'll just set a stopwatch.
So, is my stopwatch visible to you all? I think it is, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
visible,
it's
sir.
to me look for me to look at my
Yeah, no worries, no worries, no problem.
phone. I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. We believe that tiger parenting is an approach to raising successful, resilient, and disciplined children in an increasingly competitive world. And we on Side Proposition are just supporting them and we're just supporting them and preparing them for life ahead. I'll start by rebutting and reconstructing what my first speaker said, and then move on to my argument. Firstly, Side Opposition talked about pressure. These kids' parents obviously don't want to put like all this pressure on their kids and cause any issue and their own child's mental health. Why would these children's parents want to end up causing this to their own child? Since these children receive lots and lots of love from their parents, which we mentioned in our counterfactual. Also, they talked about how there's no scope for playing. Okay, well, in tiger parenting, parents are pushing their children to focus properly on extracurriculars. So that includes things that they like to do and they love to do, like sports or music. Why would a child be forced to do something that they don't want to do? And the reason why these extracurriculars are happening is because of college applications. And these activities are literally about what these kids are passionate about. Panel, clearly they're saying that a parent's love for that child doesn't matter and won't have anything to do with the parent's reason for approaching tiger parenting in the first place.
You're
Moving
right.
on to constructing, not right now.
POI, please.
Tiger parenting gives children a competitive advantage over other peers, is what my first speaker said. He talked about why this creates a strong work ethic and how this makes people being able to deal with as many things as they can. And this is important because it's something that may happen to them ahead in life, and them being able to do all of this would really, really benefit them. He also talked about how tiger parenting is not about all these kids, not about these kids achieving all these things. It's
POI.
instead about building lifelong skills, not right now, that help them beyond their school or college life. Something that would actually stick around them with them for the rest of their lives, which is actually being disciplined and being responsible. Moving on to my argument, which is strong parent and child bond through common goals. The problem is that a lot of children tend to feel disconnected from their parents when it comes to school, what they're doing in terms of studies and extracurriculars. Now, that is because a lot of parents don't really know what's going on in their children's life, and they don't understand what their child needs in order to get into a good university and have a better future. Why this is a problem is because at some level, these parents and children feel disconnected. Why this problem exists is because it's often difficult for parents to actually understand what a child needs to do and achieve in order to be a well-rounded student.
POI.
It's not right now. The criteria based on which a child goes to a good college and has a good future ahead is something that's constantly changing. Why it's changing is because colleges can't keep taking the same kind of kids forever, and so the parent and child now feel disconnected because this parent isn't able to be invested in what all this child is doing, because they don't know what all this child has to do to get into a good university. Why? Because they don't share a common goal. The common goal of the child being able to go to a top university, then getting a good job and living a better life, is something that they would now have. How are we solving this? We're solving this by supporting the rise of tiger parenting, where the parent is highly invested in ensuring the child's success and pushing them to be responsible and well-rounded people. Whatever that goal may be, they're now able to bond on these things because these parents are really invested in what their child is doing in order to achieve their goal. And parents will also make an effort to actually do the research for extracurriculars and what all study material there is, and so on and so forth. This looks like the parent and child both putting in efforts to achieve this goal, doing what they're supposed to do. The impacts this has are that these kids and parents now have a common goal, and this increases the bond between them. Another impact is that how it makes a child feel like their parents are actually dedicated and actually care about them and their future and things that they care about. Okay, I'll take your POI.
Thanks. You mentioned extracurricular activities, but if you read the caption properly, they are focusing on one thing in which they want their child to excel. And that one thing might not be the one the child prefers. The child might prefer many other things. Parents don't always know what's best for them.
Okay, I stated this before. The whole reason why these parents are pushing their kids to do these extracurriculars is so that they go into a good college. These colleges don't want to have a list of random extracurriculars. They really want to see what you're passionate about, and that is what these parents are telling these kids to do, follow their passion. So how are these kids not being able to do what they love when they're doing what they're passionate about? Continuing with why this is exclusive on our side is because we support the idea of tiger parenting, where a child is someone who's responsible, someone who's a high achiever, and is able to bond over one common thing with their family and have that strong bond. But clearly, on side opposition, where they don't support the idea of kids being disciplined and being all-rounded people, kids being able to bond over their family with this sort of thing, all of the impacts that we have on side proposition and are able to talk to you about, and we are able to have in our world and provide these families and kids with, are clearly missing from side opposition, and opposition just doesn't want to face reality. So proud to propose.
Cool. I thank the speaker for that fine speech. Second opposition speaker whenever you're ready.
So can I just take 1 minute to start my stopwatch,
yep,
have a
sure.
drink, and just get ready?
Yes, sure.
I'm ready to start in 3, 2, 1, go. To begin with, I'd like to say that all the proposition is thinking about all they're doing for is for the short-term goals. But in life, we must also focus on the long term. They keep talking about college admissions, they keep talking about being a straight A student, they keep talking about extracurricular activities, academics. But the point is, in life, a person requires holistic skills which extend out of extracurricular activities, out of academics and go on to real life skills. They need to learn how to communicate with people, how to work in a team. They need to learn how to manage their life. They need to learn how to do daily chores. And all of that is not possible if a person just continues doing extracurricular activities and is too focused, spending all their time on these subjects. So I believe that we should focus on the long term rather than the short term. Also, I'd like to explain the best and worst cases of both the teams. I believe that our worst case is a child who isn't a master at any one subject but has good holistic skills, good mental health, knows how to manage themselves, and can still go for further skill development and actually succeed in life. Whereas the proposition's best case is a child who may be a master at thing, a child who may excel at one subject, but has such a bad mental intrusion, has such a bad mental health, has such a bad mental status, and don't even know how to manage themselves, that
Wait,
thoughts like
what?
suicide, I'll take that in a few minutes, occur to them on a daily basis. Also, that is why I think that our best case, our worst, actually way better than their best case. Also, if you're talking about controlling people and just making them disciplined, if you're talking about enforcing discipline on them, I believe you'd like to you're taking an example from North Korea or any dictator country, because no matter how much they honey their words, all they are looking for at the end of the day is to enforce discipline and hard work into their people, even to a degree where it's not accepted by their own people and where it harms their own mental well-being. Also,
UI.
I'd like to define, as I said, I'll take it in a few minutes. Also, I'd like to define what I mean by mental health. What I mean by mental health is the mental stability to be fluid. In their case, if a child wishes to change their passion, because we know that human beings always change, if a child wishes to change, if a child wishes to move on, they're not able to do that because the thing that they initially liked is being pushed forward by their parents. Their parents are tiger parenting them. They're forcing their children to do that one thing over and over again, but their passions may change. And at this point, a child doesn't even have the freedom to express his point of view to their parent because their parent has done so much for that one topic. That is why, if we apply tiger parenting, the bond between parent and child will actually worsen because a child will not be able to express their change. I'll take it in 30 seconds. It will not be able to express their change. And that is why they'll not be able to be fluid around their parents, and that is why the bond between a parent and child will actually worsen rather than develop. I'll take your POI, but please be within the time frame.
How do you think these kids will succeed in their lives when their parents are lenient and these kids are allowed to do whatever they want when on our
Okay,
side?
I got your point. If you want a child to succeed in life, not just college, a child should know how to work with a team. Even if a child is a master at, let's say, web development, if they go, even if they're a master at anything, in fact, they'll have to work in a team. They'll have to work with people to advance.
POI.
And if we
UI.
I'll not be able to accept that. If we keep working on if we keep working on academics and extracurricular activities, we'll not be able to develop holistically, and we'll not be able to actually learn about how to manage ourselves, how to work in teams. And without all of those skills, someone cannot succeed in life. So no matter how much tiger parenting can help a child excel in fields like extracurricular and academics, without the proper holistic skill set, without the proper lifestyle skills, without the proper team working skills, a child cannot succeed in life. They cannot express their true passion because they are fluid. They may change. Also, there's a lot of resentment that's created because because any human being who overdoes something is faced with a lot of resentment, which will be talked further with by my third speaker. And even if any child is forced to do something, a lot of resentment is created, which will also be elaborated by my third speaker. But to conclude, I'd like to say that a child will start resenting everything around them, and even though they succeed at that any subject, they'll actually resent it so much that they'll not want to go ahead in life with it. Thank you.
Cool. I thank the speaker for that fine speech. Third proposition speaker, whenever you're ready.
Could I just have 15 seconds?
Yes, yes, sure.
Before I start my speech, I'll be taking POIs verbally. If I give a hand gesture, I'll be taking it later. And with that, I start my speech on a reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. Panel, the world is not okay when they just come up here and say tiger parenting is going to cause suicide. The world is not okay when when on their side of the house their child is being held at stake. The world is not okay when I have a kid who has the capability to go to Harvard, but I just decided to be the lenient parent that day. The world is not okay regardless of what opposition says. 3 things in my speech: A, running a comparative on their best case scenario and how our worst case scenario still beats it. Secondly, few responses. Thirdly, a clash, A, on short-term comfort versus long-term happiness. And secondly, a clash on how we achieve a better child-parent relationship. What did they tell us? Parents starting with office responses, they told us it's going to be mental health issues. That's highly unlikely because it doesn't align with our world. We told you that these kids are still going to have a balanced approach of love and unconditional support and not mental health issues, because understand these kids are still very, very young. They need to be told what to do. If parents do not tell these kids to do, if these kids aren't held liable to their
POI.
parents, they're just going to waste protected time. I'll be taking that later. These kids are just going to waste their whole lives doing whatever they want, which is really impractical. What did they tell us and just made an assumption and provide zero impact? They provide zero mechanism on how this actually works. They provide us zero model. They refuse to take up POIs, which I just really don't understand. They tell us, oh, holistic approach is better. Oh, is important. Panel teamwork is existing on our, if not more. These parents and kids are working together to have a better future for their kids. And obviously, in a high expectation environment, they're obviously going to learn how to adjust with people, because it's not like they can get into Harvard or any other colleges alone. Also, it's mentioned in our model that we're obviously going to align these choices to their expectations. It's not like a Korean family is going to force a kid to give the Geico exam if their child is like a genius at music and like biochemistry. It really doesn't make sense across their impracticality. Before I continue, I'll be taking a POI. 3, 2, 1. Considering no POIs, I'll move on.
Oh,
What's their best case? Their best case is few students with some sort of genius skills without their parents actually move on in life. They get into Harvard, they get into Yale, they end up starting a unicorn business, which is highly unlikely. And I really don't get how how it works. But the thing is, on our side of the house, even if we take the worst approach, even if we take the worst bullet, we're still winning. Because the thing is, we do understand that because the thing is, on our side of the house, we're achieving long-term happiness no matter what. These kids are working in their childhood to be a better person, to have more money, so that they provide for their family, which is something a kid should, regardless of what they want. Yes.
Okay, look, children aren't meant to be put in that high pressure situation. They aren't meant to be donkeys who work just because a parent told them to work on that particular thing which the parent wants. Okay,
I
children
got
are
it. I
meant to
got
be free.
Continue. I think opposition calling kids donkeys is just how much they think of a child. They think that we're just going to make them slave. That's not how the world works. Where do you think you would be if your parent didn't tell you what to do? Your parents are literally supposed to help their child grow further in life, which is not existing on their house, regardless of what they say. So secondly, on my clash, they provide short-term comfort, but we provide long happiness. I'll be weighing this clash on 2 metrics: amount of magnitude and unique benefit. We have a unique benefit which they don't have, regardless of their case scenario. Before I continue, I'll be taking a POI. 3, 2, 1. Considering not, that's just like,
okay. So my POI is
I
you
won't be
said that
taking it
you'll
right now. Later. The thing is, we're just making more impact, because see, long-term happiness is regardless more important. They might receive a day's comfort, they might receive an hour's comfort, but the thing is, they're not receiving comfort. They're just rotting away their future, rotting away their future on their side of the house. Considering this, there is really no quote-unquote anxiety, because these systems are catered for children, like we said in our model multiple times, and they just don't accept it. These children thrive in environment of what is expected to them. It's not like an Indian family is just going to make them go in engineering when they have an amazing art and literature. These families know, these parents do care for their kids. These parents want what's best for them, which is not existing on their side. Moving on, protected time. Moving on our second clash on how it creates a better child-parent relationship. The thing is, sure, high expectation might create stress in their in the worst case scenario, and it's highly unlikely. The thing is, clear expectations provide children with actual framework for success and helping them feel secure and understand. Because, like, weigh this. While the opposition concerns about stress, we emphasize that clear expectations are framed as supportive rather than unlikely. Because a parent is just not going to be like, oh, I expect you to excel in the Trinity exam, and not give them the necessary resources. They're going to give them a good teacher, they're going to give them help. And with all of these reasons, I'm so proud to propose.
Panel, is it okay if we take 1 minute of time as it's allowed before our third speech, before our whip presents?
Uh, I mean, yeah, sure, but I wouldn't take more than 1 minute. Yeah.
Sure, sir.
So I'll be taking POS verbally, but not until the minute of my speech, and I'll begin my speech in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So first of all, the proposition is failing to recognize that our first and second speakers definitely mentioned the problems in their model, and they failed to recognize that tiger parenting itself means that the parents do everything in the possibility and try to add on more and more skill sets to the child. But as mentioned by my first and the second speakers, they fail to recognize that kids, being kids, uh, have a limited ability and c- can't do or complete all these things. Therefore, as kids grow up and resentment develops, this point was explained by my second speaker, and like to substantiate it. So resentment will definitely develop, and this will actually worsen the bond between the parents and the child. This is huh, because anything that we are forced to do, we don't like it, right? And if kids suddenly change their mind, as mentioned by my second speaker, they can't actually change their activities because the parents have invested on them happily. Again, I would like to give some responses to the proposition. Well, I don't know why the proposition is constantly blabbering about the point that their model says that they won't force it and they will take care and they'll like give unconditional love and support. But actually, they recognize the point that kids don't have the time with all those extracurricular activity. What do you want to give kids 48 hours a day? I don't think that's possible. I'll take POIs later. Next I would like to reinstate our points and prove that why our points still stand. The first and most important is mental health. So these people believe that mental health problems are very unlikely to happen. Now I'll tell you why they are the most likely to happen. Well, mental health is caused mental health problems are caused as like depression and anxiety are caused when kids are not allowed to explore themselves or when they're too overburdened. It's suppose you are in school and the week is very hectic for you and you are suddenly burdened with 10 extracurricular activities, and their whole point that we limit the extra curricular activities. Well, they don't get the context of tiger parent. I'd like to advise a proposition to go back and read the context that tiger parenting is not what they define is, and that their model and their understanding of the topic is completely false. And again, to elaborate one of my points, rebellion and resentment calls. So again, I would like to prove it with an example of food. Suppose if you are given a same food like a staple like dal and rice. Wait a second. Like dal and rice, you won't like to consume it on a daily basis, right? But if you're given something new that will interest you, and that will interest you, and if that activity does not change, you'll be eventually bored from it and you won't feel like eating it, right? So that is the same with activities. If you are forced to do one, if you are doing one activity at a time, therefore you won't get near anything due to the reasons explained. Now I'd like to quickly cover the major clashes. So first is that the proposition is bent on like college applications, and that is creating skills for future. And we say that although one or two skills can be created, they are as good as none because of lack of holistic development. So lack of holistic development, yes, again refers to, as mentioned by my second speaker, that workplace requires social skills and
POI.
wait a second, and this cannot be done in extracurricular activities. Then about their point that that creates skills for future, well, I would like to say that is complete, that even though skills are completed, they might not be used. They be used actually, because once the child enters a workplace, he will again be too busy to do all this, and he doesn't have the social skill and that edge that is required in the workplace. Second of all, if we have a better approach than tiger parenting, and therefore we win the above clash, that is lack of holistic development from our side opposition, and creating skills for the future proposition. Now I would like to suggest another approach, and the proposition clearly ignored the fact that even if tiger parenting is not like approach used in the first in the early stages of a kid's life, there is still room for growth, and a child can learn skills like completely to a point by like learning one skill at a time. Well, this is much more effective than tiger parenting, and tiger parenting puts a lot of pressure on children, as explained by my parents. So chair, I mean panel, we therefore have uh, no harm and only benefits, while the tiger parenting and the proposition have some benefits, but there are more harm than good, and therefore we suppose that we win this debate. That's all.
Cool. I thank the speaker for the fine speech. Thank you guys in what was a very interesting debate. Please join back in the main meeting, and I think all chairs will successively announce the verdict for each room. Beyond that, again, congratulations for making it this far. Even if you don't make it to the next rounds, it's okay. You guys have done really well, and all of us are free to give you feedback always. I know I haven't given feedback to a couple of people yet. I will get back to you guys after the tournament.
Good debate, opposition.
Yeah, it
Thank
was.
you,
Yeah, I
educator.
enjoyed it. Thanks for
Thank,
the debate.
Thank
thank,
you, adjudicator, for your judgment.
Good debate.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Please join back the
Thank
main
you
meeting.
all.
Yes.